Well, hundreds of thousands of people are still without power in Connecticut this morning, more than 600,000 at last check. I am joined by Frank Poirot of Eversource. I know a lot of people are really concerned about this. Thank you so much for being with us, Frank.
Thank you for having us.
So this is a historic storm. By your numbers, it's probably number 3 as far as outages, just behind Irene.
That's correct. The October 2012 nor'easter was clearly the top, as far as outages go, was the top storm. Irene, followed by Irene, and then this storm here.
So a lot of people are wondering, when will my lights come back on? And I know there was a problem with the reporting system last night. Just as far as estimates, are we talking hours, days, or even more than a week?
We're still working through the assessment to find out what impact this storm exactly had on our system. Once we have our arms around a detailed assessment of the damage, then we'll be able to provide our customers with a reliable restoration time. Putting out anything less would just, it wouldn't help our customers, and we have to get that assessment correct.
I did see some reports earlier from Eversource that we're talking about, quote, multi-day outages. So people perhaps don't want to expect to have their lights back on tonight in some of the hardest hit areas.
The damage was quite extensive. Just getting a line truck into some of these streets, which are clogged by multiple trees, is going to take a lot of work. And that's what has us motivated to say it's going to be a multiple day assessment or a multiple day restoration for sure. For many of our customers, the harder hit areas in Southwest Connecticut are looking at damage that we haven't seen in quite some time. Like I said, entire trees, multiple sections of line down. It's quite severe.
What about other crews from other states? When things like this happen, we usually get a lot of help. We've gotten some complaints from viewers saying they're not seeing as many crews. Are COVID restrictions impacting the ability to bring in people from other states?
Well, first of all, we can rely on our neighboring state, Eversource crews from neighboring states like New Hampshire and Massachusetts will be joining us likely, and we have additional free. We're working through that issue. And regarding the COVID part, we are still operating under COVID-19 guidelines, which means that we're limited to just how many, 6 foot distancing. Everybody's wearing facial masks if they can't maintain the distance. And on top of that, in our line trucks and other vehicles, it's we try to keep it 1 person per vehicle.
All right, Frank, I know that our viewers were probably really wanting to hear what you had to say. And unfortunately, because of some technical issue, you were a little garbled in the beginning of your answer. So I'd like you to explain that again. As far as getting help from neighboring states or COVID restrictions right now, is that impacting the ability to get more boots on the ground?
We'll be able to get crews from other Eversource crews, rather, from Massachusetts as well as New Hampshire. The COVID guidelines remain in place for the safety of our workers as well as our customers. And what that means for our restoration is it limits the number of folks we can have in a vehicle. In addition to that, working outdoors with a mask in this weather can be a little bit of an impairment, but nonetheless, we're working through it.
So fair to say that, like, if you wanted to get crews from the South, Florida, places like that, even if they had volunteers, we couldn't bring those people in right now?
Well, our priority is to first bring in our Eversource crews, which have been operating under COVID-19 guidelines right from the beginning. And then after that, we'll be reaching out for additional help elsewhere.
Okay. Do you have an estimation of just how many crews are out there? Is it typical for a historic storm like this? You're saying it's the 3rd worst storm in our history, at least for outages. So some people are saying they're not seeing the level of crews out there. Is it less right now?
I'm sorry?
Would you say the crews are less right now, fewer than you would like, as far as to respond to the proportion of this storm being the 3rd worst?
Sorry. Well, we'd always like to have more crews on scene. We've got hundreds that have worked overnight and then a refresh crew started during the day today, not only line crews, but also tree crews. So we're working through that right now.
Some people are getting their lights back on, but then they don't have Wi-Fi. I know that there's a difference. Some are coming from cable companies, but can you give people advice, because so many people are working from home, about what they're in for?
I can't speak to the Wi-Fi question. All I can say is that we'll have crews up and running 24/7 until we have all of our customers back out.
And right now, if you were to say what the big difficulty is for you at this moment, as far as why this is so challenging to get the lights back on for people in Connecticut, is it the damage, or is it also the restrictions that we're under with living in a pandemic?
No, it's clearly the damage that we're seeing out in the field. As I said, just to move down a road, we have to work in close concert with the local DPW people to safely remove entire trees from a road. This is more labor intensive than anything that we've seen in quite some time. It's almost analogous to the tornado damage that we saw in West Brookfield a couple of years ago. There too, multiple trees down in the road. You couldn't even walk down many of these roads that were affected by the severe winds that hit that area. So this is what's going to be our challenge going forward, is to getting vehicles into areas that need to have overhead equipment repaired.
Is there something that Eversource would like to see the governor or the state do in situations like this? Is there something that could help?
At this point, I don't think so. I don't know what that would be.
Okay. And as far as your outage reporting system, I know there was some trouble with it last night. Is it back up and running? And what's your best estimate of how many people are out right now?
It is back up and running, and our outage numbers are just about 600,000, maybe a little bit more. So if a customer had an issue trying to reach us with their outage last night, we encouraged them to call us today and let us know. We definitely want to hear from them.
Right, and just because we are streaming this, let folks know who are listening, if they have an outage and they're watching right now on the Channel 3 app or streaming it on Facebook, what's the best way to let you know?
Well, it's through our customer service line, 1-800-286-2000. And that's our main line to report outages or any other issues with our system.
Yeah, and I think there's also a number, if you check the Twitter account, people can text as well. So that might be another way that they can reach you. But just to wrap up, for people who perhaps joined the feed late and we know we had a communication difficulty, you are talking about, at least right now, a multi-day outage for many people.
Yes.
As far as preparing. All right, we appreciate it. We hope you can come back on live with us later on this evening for our evening shows, and hopefully you guys can keep us updated so we can let the viewers know.
That sounds good. We look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.